Good morning. Hi, hi, hi. Good morning, everybody. Good to see you. Hi, Joy. Hi, Linda. Hi, Betty. And looks like Catherine's here too. Got Della coming on. Good, good. Mm. I just got out of the shower because I really, really wanted to go for a run, but I knew it would be cutting it close. I don't know if anyone of you are like that, where for me, if I wait too late in the day, I just won't ever do it. So I figured I was like, I have to do it now, or else it'll never happen. Yeah. Hi, Della. Good to see you. Hello, hello. All right.
Hi,
Uh,
Kristi. It's Catherine.
yes, I saw you, Catherine. Hi. Good to see you. All right. Well, um, let's wait one more minute for a couple more folks to show up. And I just curious if anyone has a 1 minute story that they would want to share, or a mystery or something that they're working on. But it has to just be like 1 minute. Okay. Anyone?
Yeah, I do. I
Okay.
just got back from the Maine coast tour, and we got to go out and see the puffins.
Oh,
So with Wildside Nature Tour, we went Maine and Vermont and New Hampshire, Mount Washington.
and
And
how
we
are the
found
puffins doing? Because I remember I heard some news a while ago that because of climate change and whatnot, their
well,
populations.
there was about 120 puffins nesting, Alex estimated.
Okay.
So they were doing pretty good. I saw like 14 life birds at just that 2 hour boat trip, mostly all pelagic birds.
Wow, 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 wow. That's great, Catherine.
It was
Awesome.
awesome.
I've never seen a puffin in real life, I don't think. Anyone
Oh
else
my
ever
God,
seen a puffin?
they're so
Yeah.
cute. They're
Yeah.
so cute. And they were doing mating flights together, and yeah, so it was awesome. I really enjoyed it. And we saw the big now thrush
Oh, you
up
did?
on Mount Washington. We
Wow.
heard them. We heard them first, and then we finally saw them.
I know
So,
Dan Gardoki's been working on the Bicknells, and there's one other one that looks really similar to the Bicknells around here. I'm forgetting who that is right now, but um I guess there's been a couple seen in Maine, possibly, like not sure, but maybe it's this one, maybe it's that one. But that's great. You got to see it, Catherine. Did you hear it as well, or just see
I
it?
did hear it. I heard it we heard it long before we saw it. So
And what?
we could only go to 4,000 feet because it was snowing up top at
Wow.
6,200. So we got out and birded there and walked the road.
What did the
Um,
with the Bicknells? How is that? How is that like unique among thrushes in terms of its voice? Like, what was it that stood out to you about it?
well, that's a good question because I was like at a total loss, and I had to keep listening to the sound before we even went up there.
Yeah, yeah.
So, because we had the guides who basically guided us through what we're looking for, where we're looking for it,
Yeah.
and once you heard it, like in person, then you knew.
Yeah, yeah,
So
sure.
yeah, but they're very shy.
Okay.
So I mean, they're a thrush, but they're very shy.
Yeah. Well, thanks for your
So
story this morning,
yeah,
Catherine.
it was really fun. It was a
Yeah.
great trip. We had 173 species in 9 days.
Jeez, that's great. Well, what a sweet way to start off our morning with puffins. So thank you for that. And all right, looks like, and we have a knot joining us this morning. Yay! Hi, good to see you. It's been a while.
It's,
Um,
it's evening here.
yes, well, yeah, it's hard to tell because it's so bright. Yeah, that's good. Um, okay, and here's one more person. Bryn, I don't recognize that name. And is it Betty or Bet?
It's Bet.
Bet, okay. Good to meet you,
Yeah.
Bet. Have you?
And hi, it's been a really long time because I volunteer now on Mondays all day, so I
Yeah.
can't normally be here. So this is nice. I had a day off.
Oh, good. Yay, I'm glad you could join us then. And it looks like Bryn is here as well. Hi, Bryn. Um, Well, let's get started then. Thanks for the story, Catherine. Nice way to start us off. And again, apologies for the wet hair. I just got out of the shower, so it'll probably be dry by the time our conversation is done. So for anyone who's new, we usually spend the first portion, so about 30 minutes or so, a little bit less today, doing a bird sit. I'll guide you through that, and then folks are welcome to stay afterward for a little chat. And if you need to go, that's totally fine as well. So just find a nice, comfortable place to sit, inside or outside, doesn't matter. And if you're inside, it would be good today to crack a window or at least get yourself near a window so you could see what's going on outside, because we're going to be listening and looking at, if we can, for birds today. Part of it will be through ears. So if you're not near a window you can see, then you can use your ears at that portion. And if you can only see but don't want to open your window because of smoke or whatever other reasons, then that'll be just fine too. So yeah, just let your feet settle onto the ground beneath you if you can, if you're in a position to do so, and just noticing your connection with the ground. And then realizing that that ground is somehow connected to the earth. And see if you can tap into your connection there with your feet and the earth, the soles of your feet. There's a beautiful image, sort of a funny image, but a beautiful image that one of the Lakota elders I worked with long ago, his name was Gilbert Walking Bull, and he said that it's sort of as an inspiration to walk gently on the earth. He said, imagining walking on the upturned faces of your ancestors. You know that's who the earth is. It's holding us here, and so we want to walk softly on the earth. So just imagining that those ancestors of ours are holding us here right now and connecting you to this moment. And then start to slowly move yourself into your body on the inside, noticing anything that might feel stiff or tight, a little crinkly today, maybe. And then also those parts of you that are feeling open and expansive and maybe soft. Those parts that are working just perfectly. And then staying on the inside of our bodies for a moment, go ahead and notice what your heartbeat is doing. What's the rhythm of your own heart right now? And if you can't feel it, sometimes you can hear it in your own ears, just put your hand on your chest and maybe you can feel your heartbeat there. Just noticing if it's rapid, or is it slow and steady? And as you're tapping into your heart rate, your heart rhythm, go ahead and connect with your lungs and your breath. And you don't need to change anything in this moment, but just notice how deep or shallow is your breath in this moment. Are you fully expanding into your breath, or is it maybe just a little bit constricted, maybe not so full? And on your next breath, go ahead and exhale completely. So let all the air out of your body. And then we're going to fill our lungs completely this time. So inhaling deeply and fully and completely, allowing your belly to expand and soften. And then when you reach the upper limits of your breath, you can hold it for a moment and then let it go. Squeezing it all the way out. And then inhaling one more time, letting your belly soften as you inhale, expanding your chest, filling your whole chest cavity, all the way up to the crown of your head. Holding it there for a moment, and then letting it go. And then you can just allow your breath to fall into its own natural rhythm. Maybe being a little bit more mindful now of what the rhythm actually is of your breath and your heartbeat. Now go ahead and tap into the outer world of your body, your skin. Just noticing if you can feel any slight breezes that are crossing your skin. Even if you're inside, there might be a little breath of air. And just notice where you feel it. Is it on your arms, your knees? Maybe it's the tip of your nose or your chin. And now, without forgetting these aspects of ourselves that we've connected with, go ahead and send your attention over to something that you can point off in the distance, really far away. Just one thing, one element that you can focus on. And let your eyes really focus. And then, without moving from that one point, let the rest of your vision start to soften. So you're still focused forward, but then everything else around you is going to just become soft. And you're going to expand that as far as you can, both right and left, and then also up and down on all sides. As if you could stretch your eyes to look all the way behind you. Just let them get really soft. Even allowing your vision to become blurry. Do your best not to resist that sensation of blurriness. Just allow it to be. So just as your breath has become soft, you can also allow your eyes to become soft now as well. And then as we stay in this softened vision, some people call it owl eyes, some people call it our peripheral vision. We're going to stay in this way of looking at the world while we then turn our attention to our ears. And first, just notice the sounds that come to your awareness, whatever they may be. And then what I'd like you to do is find a range of sounds. So starting with a sound that is maybe quite loud and quite prominent on the landscape. And then shifting to one that's maybe a little quieter, but don't lose that loud sound. And then progressively finding a quieter and quieter sound. And still doing your best to hold the louder sounds as well. Noticing if you're still tapped into your heart rate, the rhythm of your breath, the sensations on your skin. And so this morning for our practice, we're going to do our best to find one bird. If it can be one bird the whole time, that's great. If not, that's okay. I know birds come and go. Some of you have feeders, so that might make it a little bit easier. But if you have a bird that you know is likely to stay around, then I'd like you to visually find that if you can. And if you can't find it with your eyes, then at least just with your ears, if it's a bird that you're hearing and is fairly prominent on the landscape right now. If you don't have a bird that's making any sound or is visible in this moment, then I want you to remember the last bird that you saw in your landscape. What was that bird and where was it? And so today we're going to become more friendly with this one bird. So once you've found your bird, and even if it might come and it might go, you can also use your imagination. This is a good test for us too. So we'll start with our eyes first. So I just want you to spend a couple moments really observing that bird, noticing all that you can. And we'll put a little, maybe something that's gonna, a little motivation for you to pay really rapt attention to this bird. And I'll tell you that I'm gonna test you on it in just a few moments. So with your eyes focused on this bird, or maybe it'll be a few birds, but do your best just to stay with one or two. Just observe that bird, noticing everything you possibly can. And we'll focus on not so much its behavior in this moment, but more what it looks like. So all the elements of it, its shape, its size, its color. And we'll let you do that for the next couple of moments. Remember, if you can't see one right now, just allow yourself to do your best to remember. If you had to paint that bird in your mind right now, what would that be? What would it look like? And now, if you're not actively observing something that's really captivating your curiosity, or even if you are, let's say you're really diving into this practice of connecting with this bird, take just a moment and either look away from the bird for just a moment or close your eyes for about the next 30 seconds. And I'd like you to paint that bird in your mind. So do your best to draw the bird, paint the bird. What did it look like? What was its shape? What was its color? Was there anything that you're missing? And don't look just yet. Just look away from it or close your eyes and sort of notice what you might be missing in your observations. Think about it. If the bird has a color on its crown, how far down does that color go? If there's a ring around the eye, is it complete? Is it incomplete? If it has color on the tail, how many feathers are colored? Is there white just on the last three, or is it the last two? How long is its tail? If it's all one color, is the belly maybe darker or lighter than the back? Now you can go ahead and look at the bird again if it's still there, if you're still able to see it. And just see how you did. And it's okay if the bird's flown away or if it's not there any longer. You can look it up later, maybe have a chance to see it later. And now we're going to shift our attention to our ears. And if the same bird that you were observing with your eyes is making vocalizations, then stick with that one bird. If it's not, and you hear another bird, let's focus on that bird right now. I want you to really just absorb yourself into that sound as if nothing else mattered more than learning this sound in this moment. If I were to ask you to replicate that sound, would you be able to do it? Are you aware of where the sound rises, where it falls, if there's any pauses, what the rhythm is? So do your best to even mimic it under your breath, noticing if you can replicate that sound. Now go ahead and choose one of the birds you have been observing, whether it's the bird you were looking at or the bird you were listening to, or the same one. And if you're able to observe it while it's feeding, that's excellent. And if not, I want you just to imagine, what would this bird eat? Maybe you've seen it eating before. And just imagine, what would it be like if you were that bird eating whatever it is that it eats? Where would you have to go? Would you be able to eat it while you're flying? Would you have to go somewhere and pick the wings off or pick the berry apart? How would you do that? Where would you want to be? Would you want to be on a prominent perch or deep in the tree, on the ground maybe? So just let yourself explore that, or observe it if you can. as this bird that you're becoming or observing, what would it be like to have to hunt or catch or gather the food that you're eating? Where would you look for it? What might that experience be when you finally find what you were looking for? How long would you wait before you looked for more? Now, for the final few moments, I want you to imagine, again, if you can observe this, this is great, but also, even probably more helpful, would be to imagine that you are this bird that you're observing and interacting with, and that you're going to take flight. So you were just perched somewhere eating, and then you want to fly somewhere. Just notice what that experience is going to be like. Are you light and buoyant? Are you more heavy? What part of your flight might be the heaviest part? How do you move your wings? How is it unique or different from the other birds you might be seeing? I'll wait until my alarm goes. That's okay. You probably won't be able to hear it too much. We'll go ahead and take the next moment to offer gratitude to the one or ones that you were connecting with today, in whatever way that they touched your heart this morning. All right. So I'd love to hear from folks what kind of experiences you had this morning in connecting with one or a few birds here. And even if it was a bird that you had to imagine or remember, that's still great just to know sort of what, yeah, just what your experience was like, what you might have missed, what you became more deeply aware of that you might not have realized before about your bird. And what sort of tipped me off or gave me the idea for this was this morning one of the little fox pups that's around here. I heard, I have my windows open now, it's warm enough, and I heard some shuffling in the bushes, like lots of shuffling and then shuffling and shuffling. I was like, what is in there? Is it a bear? Is it a fox? What is it? And this little fox came running out, and he went running back in the bushes, and then running out, and then running back in. And then a little while later, I looked out back up here. There's my neighbor's house has like a flat, there's like a flat lawn back up there. And I saw something on their driveway. And I was like, oh, maybe it's a leaf. Maybe it's like a pile of poop. Maybe, I don't know, but something, I was like, maybe it's been there, but something caught my attention about it as different. And then all of a sudden I heard the crows really going off. They were just alarming and upset and not like super, super intense. They weren't dive bombing anything, but they were just mad. And so I went out the back again, like from upstairs, and I was looking to see what, I figured it was probably the fox pup, but I wasn't sure. And the fox pups are pretty big now. They're, I wouldn't say full size, but they're pretty close. And I looked out back, and the fox was sitting over that thing that was on the driveway, and it picked it up, and it dropped it, and then it picked it up again. And as it picked it up, I noticed that it was limp and it had wings. And so it was some kind of a bird, and it was very dark, and it looked black to me, but it looked, I think it's too small to be a crow, even a kid crow. And I think that the crows would have been really mad if it was a crow kid. Like they would have been dive bombing and just pissed. And so I think that they were just upset because they know when something is a bird and something is an animal and whatnot. So I think that the fact that it was a bird that the fox was on was upsetting to the crows. And, so they hollered at it for a while until it left with the bird in its mouth. And the next thought that came to me was a catbird. So I'm thinking it may have been a catbird. And then on my run, actually, I found a dead catbird that had been killed by a car. It looks like a car had struck a car. And it just got me thinking, like when I was looking back there, I'm like, how well do I really know the catbird? Like, could I know in just an instant if that was a catbird or not in the fox's mouth? Like what parts of the catbird are dark and what parts are lighter and whatnot. So I thought I would bring that to our practice this morning, just that idea of really knowing. And the catbird's around, like it lives at my house, it has kids here, I see it every day during this season. But how well do I really know it? So yeah, that was the inspiration for my question today. And I'd love to hear from folks. And if folks are able to show your faces while you're speaking, that's awesome. If you can't, that's totally okay too. Love to see everybody here. So yeah, if anyone has something they want to share from this morning, just go ahead and raise your hand. And
Okay.
Della, go for it.
Yeah. Well, I was interested in how birds take flight. Some birds, like water birds, will flap their wings and lift off. But the little birds, like I was watching this morning, house finch, they just do what I always think of as a leap of faith. They just kind of leap out and then flap their wings and fly. And I just find that fascinating that they have the courage to do that.
I love hearing that. That's interesting because I was tapping in, this woodpecker flew in, and so I was doing this exercise with the woodpecker this morning. I only saw it for a few moments, but I was imagining it the rest of the time. And with woodpeckers, it's the same thing. When they dive, they're like so heavy and they really dive down. And I thought, gosh, like the first time that like kid woodpecker like makes that motion to like
Yes.
it really is like a leap of faith, and it's just just go and then see what happens. And I can't imagine what it would be like. I mean, I don't know, because we spend so much time as human kids like practicing running and walking, that there's no, I mean, I guess they do flap their wings a lot while they're in the nest, so they probably do have some of that practice. So they know they have wings, right? They get that. But that's a really good point, Della. Yeah, what was that like for you to feel that, to imagine that?
Oh, I just think of the courage that it must take to make that, and I just call it a leap of faith because they just jump out there, and especially the little birds, the finches, the warblers. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. There was some little bird I saw the other day that I think that your crows just got my crows going. um
Oh,
I think I saw some little bird the other day that I watched it like from pretty high, and it just like almost like a torpedo. It just like dove down for something. Like I don't know if it was going for an insect or trying to hide or what, but I was so, again, that's so like impressed that it just knew its body so well that it could literally like dive like a swimmer like diving into a pool and knowing that its wings would catch it at the right moment, you know, and they're so courageous. It's amazing. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, Catherine, go for it.
Yeah, we had coming down the road, the auto road at Mount Washington last week, and it was rainy and very overgrowth, huge amount of leaves, very narrow road, twisty turny, and a red-tailed hawk jumped right out in front of the van, but with the direction we were going, and he just took every curve. It was the most amazing thing, and all 10 of us were able to observe him as we're driving, you know, and he just flew right along with us, maybe about 30 feet in front of us. It was the coolest thing. But where did he come from? He must have just been perching and going, oh, here's my chance. And he got out in front of us, and it was very unique. It was very, yeah, you could feel every little turn that he made, and then you'd feel it in the road. Yeah, it was very cool.
Wow, it's not often. I feel like sometimes like if you're high up on a mountain, you get to like watch the birds like your level, but to fly with them, that's a whole
Yes,
different
yeah. Yeah,
experience.
we were all like going, ooh, ah, ooh.
Yeah, yeah, if you could have
It
recorded
was
them.
even Alex was like totally into it, and he was driving. We're like,
Yeah,
watch the road.
watch the road. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's hard to be a birder sometimes when you're driving.
Yeah, yeah, it was really unique, the cool part was is his red tail was so fanned out. You know, it was an adult, and it was just, and he just twisted just ever so slightly to give him his banking and his curves. You know, yeah, it was really cool.
Oh, they're so masterful. Wow, thanks, Catherine.
Mhm.
Beautiful image. Yeah. What else did folks experience this morning when you either put yourself in the bird's sort of body or just watched, and when you tried to sort of draw it in your mind, were you missing anything in particular, or did you feel like you really got it, you nailed it? My crow friend, I don't know if you can see it. Let's see. Maybe not. He's up in the I gave them something really nice yesterday. I had some deer meat actually that Dan had given me a while ago that was in my freezer, and I thawed it out, and I was sitting here eating, and the crow came, and while I was sitting here, and because I usually do give them a little food, and I was like, oh, I have that deer meat in the freezer, so I took a couple pieces and I gave it to him, so he's probably hoping for some more today. Yeah, anyone else have anything they want to share from this morning? No, that's okay. I was trying to think of, for me, there was something with the woodpecker. I remember when I was imagining being the woodpecker eating, how grateful I felt for the grubs and like how different that is. You know, usually when we think of like beetles and things getting into trees and killing the trees, we're like, oh, the beetles are killing the trees. Granted, there's some that decimate entire species of trees, and that's a different sort of story. But even so, as a woodpecker, I feel like I would be so excited and just like that would just be amazing to be a woodpecker and have all those grubs in the trees and just whatever beetles and things are hiding in there and their larvae, and you know, it's like, gosh, like it's got to be heaven on earth for a woodpecker to have so much available to them, you know. And it's made me wonder like how well certain woodpecker populations might be doing. I know, you know, it's more than just about food, of course. It's like habitat and everything, but yeah, it just got me thinking about their food sources and like how abundant some of their food sources are these days, you know. Well, thanks everyone for coming and joining. This was nice to sit outside with you again. It's finally warm enough and not raining for me to be out here. And yeah, it's good to see you all. So thanks for coming. We'll see you next time. And yeah, thanks everybody. And Anat, if you want to stay on for just 1 minute, I wanted to. Okay, great. All right, everybody. Have a lovely day. Have a lovely week. We'll see you next time.